We're all set. We're recording. We're live.
Yeah.
All right. I'd like to call a special meeting of the Town Council of Holiday Island to order. It's 2021, 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wes, would you call the roll?
Yes. Councilman Dumas.
Here.
Councilman Mills.
Here.
Councilmember Grant.
Here.
Councilmember Mills.
Here.
Councilmember Pittman.
Here.
5 members, all here and accounted for, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I declare a quorum.
Mr. Mayor, you're muted.
I should be muted.
You're muted on the...
Oh, I muted him. But it's okay. He's talking into the mic.
Okay.
Yeah, if I unmute my PC, then we get bad, big-time feedback. Do we have any discussion on the agenda?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Uh-oh, they're getting no sound.
Yep.
Why? Why? The mic is unmuted on the webcam.
Holly, can you hear me?
Holly, can you hear me?
Bob noticed that he's getting sound fine.
Maybe it's Holly. Just her machine. She's not getting it.
Rebecca Sherman says she can hear everyone.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, agenda item 4 for approving the agenda. I noticed down underneath the public comments, we don't have a spot for council member comments. And the resolution we passed, 21-04, we inserted that in our agenda. I'd like to add council member comments after 9.
So, okay, I've got my pen working now. Okay, I'll get that fixed on the template. All right, any other comments? You'll notice that I scratched, if you have the latest version of the agenda, I scratched the discussion on the town district rental agreement. We haven't made any headway on that, other than we did look at the available space, but we have time to work on that. And I added the point about discussion of attorney request for qualifications. So, if there's no other discussion or corrections to the agenda, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make the motion we approve the agenda as amended.
All right. Lynn made a motion to approve the agenda. Ken seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. The agenda is approved as amended. We have no minutes to approve. Ceremonials, recognitions, proclamations, or memoriam. Hearing none, we'll move on. This is a special meeting, so we won't have any committee reports. We have no old business, so we can move on to new business, 2021-012, a resolution concerning the website. This is where we left off, and by the way, for the public, we apologize for the technical difficulties from the regular meeting on Tuesday night. We lost our internet halfway through the meeting, so we're basically today trying to finish up or Tuesday's meeting. So, do I have a motion to put Resolution 2021-012 on the floor for consideration?
So moved. I'll second it, Dan, but didn't we read it before and then get to the point where we...
Well, I think I got it out of order. I think the first thing to do is have a motion to put it on the floor, and then Wes will read it.
Okay. I'll make the motion. Second the motion.
All right. Jerry made a motion to put Resolution 2021-012 on the floor for consideration. Pat seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. So, Wes, would you read the resolution?
Resolution, yes. Resolution 2021-012. A resolution authorizing the town of Holiday Island to establish a contract with an email provider.
Let me stop right there. That needs to be corrected to website provider.
Okay.
No. It's an email provider.
We did the website last
We did the domain name in 11.
Oh. Well, then what were you telling me before?
I'm telling you on the thing, on the agenda, it says 012 website, and it's not. It's email provider.
Yeah, it should be email.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. But the resolution is correct. So the resolution is for a website provider.
Just on the
No,
agenda.
it's for an email provider.
An email provider.
No. The resolution is for the email provider. Whereas the town of Holiday Island has been recently incorporated and will need a set of unique email addresses for town officials and any employees or individuals doing specific work on behalf of the municipality, and whereas the use of personal email addresses and multiple email systems employed for personal email by these individuals would cause commingling of their business and personal email, as well as allow potential permanent deletion of municipal business emails, and whereas the use of new and separate email addresses for these individuals under a new domain name created specifically for the municipality would clearly identify the email addresses as originating from the municipality, and the contents is dealing with business of the municipality. And whereas the use of new and separate email addresses would enable a more efficient and accurate means for search and retrieval of emails dealing with specific municipal business matters, and whereas the municipality will require the ability to permanently preserve all incoming and outgoing emails to and from town officials or dealing with the business of the municipality, a robust ability to search and retrieve emails based on specific criteria in order to address certain FOIA, Freedom of Information Act requests from the public on a timely basis, and the ability to locally administer the assignment and deletion of email addresses under the domain name of the municipality. And whereas the town of Holiday Island desires to use an email system that meets the above requirements, now be it resolved by the Town Council of Holiday Island that the mayor is authorized to negotiate a contract with an email provider that meets the requirements cited above. The contract must be approved by the Town Council before signing. Passed and approved by the Town Council of Holiday Island, Arkansas on this date of 1/21/2021.
Okay, Linda,
Okay.
this is your baby, so you want to...
We talked about the email providers at the last meeting a little bit when we went through what we discussed at the workshop and the follow-up I did afterwards. And I'm of the opinion that Ionos, who provides email to HICID in a very secure fashion, and they can do search and retrieval, and they automatically archive all the emails for you, so you never have to risk not having an email that was sent or received, would be our best choice. Their costs actually get a discount for the first year, and it's a yearly contract. So if we want to switch providers at the end of the year, we could do so. I think that's, and I think it will cost us, I think I put in my notes that I sent to you all from my follow-up that that would cost around $300 the first year and about twice that much the second year.
Is that billed monthly or just an annual? Meaning we'd have to have $300 a day.
I think it's billed monthly. I could check on that before we sign, but I think it's billed monthly.
Okay.
But you have to sign a year's worth at least.
Okay.
We're just authorizing you to negotiate a contract, and
Right.
once you get the contract, then we'll approve it.
I'm pretty sure it was monthly because I multiplied by 12 to get the annual cost. So
I think we all agreed on the provider.
Okay. Any other discussion on the resolution? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we accept resolution number 2021-012.
Make a motion to accept resolution 2021-12.
I'll second.
Motion was made to accept or to pass resolution 2021-012. The motion was made by Ken and seconded by Lynn. Any further discussion? Les, you want to take the roll call vote?
Yes. Councilmember Dumas,
Aye.
Councilmember Elwood,
Aye.
Councilmember Graves,
here, aye.
Councilmember Mills,
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman.
Aye.
All were ayes, Mr. Mayor.
All right, the resolution passes. Thank you. Moving on to resolution 2021-013, a resolution supporting a HICID project to pave the parking area at the Dulce Fishing Pier. Do I have a motion to put this on the floor for consideration?
I'll move we put the resolution about the Dulce Fishing Pier 2021-013 on the floor.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Linda moved to put it on the floor. Jerry seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Wes, can you read the resolution?
Yes. Resolution 2021-013. A resolution supporting a HICID project to pave the parking area at the Dulce Fishing Pier. Whereas the Holiday Island Suburban Improvement District built and maintains a fishing pier known as the Dulce Fishing Pier. And whereas this amenity is named for a former honored member of the Holiday Island community. And whereas this handicapped accessible fishing pier provides an unusually good recreational opportunity for all area residents. And whereas the fishing pier, parking area, and access drive is situated on Corps of Engineers property, but maintained by HICID, and whereas the area is in need of repair, now be it resolved by the Town Council of Holiday Island that the Town of Holiday Island fully supports HICID's efforts in seeking Arkansas Game and Fish Commission financial assistance using marine fuel tax revenue to pave the parking area at the Dulce Fishing Pier. Completing this project will be of great benefit to the public and especially to people with physical handicaps, since a paved surface will be much easier to traverse. Passed and approved by the Town Council of Holiday Island, Arkansas on this date of 1/21/2021.
Okay, this project is pretty well known to everybody. Lawrence has been working on it for a couple of years already through the board, and it hadn't made it to the top of the list yet, so he's going to give it another try. So Lawrence, for the record, you want to add anything about the project?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to recognize Councilperson Ken Mills, because he worked on this prior to me. So, and put me on the task, and I've been trying to follow up with that. I think this is another opportunity for HICID and the city to work together. Hopefully the weight of this resolution will elevate us on the priority list and finally get that done. They're always looking for projects for marine fuel tax, so we have some other projects in mind that if we can get this one done and get into the system, I see more beneficial projects coming along. So other than that, as soon as I receive the signed resolution, I'll be resubmitting this to the Game and Fish Commission.
Okay, thank you, Lawrence. Lynn?
Would it add to any weight in the resolution in the next to last whereas to include something like it's within the boundaries of the municipality of Holiday Island? It states that it's core property that's maintained by HICID, but it doesn't say anything about the municipality.
That's true. Yeah, we could add whereas.
So I suggested Corps of Engineers property, comma, within the limits of the municipality of Holiday Island, and comma, and take but out, but also maintained or is maintained. Something like that.
Within, yeah. The
municipal
change the
limit.
wording to the fishing pier, parking area, and access drive is situated on Corps of Engineers property within the town limits of the town of Holiday Island.
Okay. Or municipal boundaries.
Okay, I'm just about done writing here.
I just thought that helps give us legal term. I don't know what it is, but we have a reason to say here's our resolution because it affects us by defining it.
Okay, then I'll reread that, restate that whereas for the record. Whereas the fishing pier, parking area, and access drive is situated on Corps of Engineers property within the municipal boundaries of the town of Holiday Island and maintained by HICID and.
That's good.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Can I make one more quick comment?
Sure.
I failed to mention that if we acquire this project, it'll be at no cost to property owners and Holiday Island residents.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other discussion? Do I have a motion then to approve resolution 2021-013 as amended?
I'll move to approve that 013 as amended.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve by Linda, second by Pat. Any further discussion? All in favor? Oh, no. Wes, call the roll.
Councilmember Dumas,
Aye.
Councilmember Howell,
Aye.
Councilmember Gray,
Aye.
Councilmember Mills,
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman.
Aye.
All in favor, Mr. Mayor.
The resolution passes. Okay, moving on the agenda then. Next item on the agenda is a procedure for responding to FOIA requests. Wes and Linda, I think we're working on this. Do you have something ready to discuss?
I passed out a draft of, actually more of an outline of a procedure for FOIA. And we can go over it. I feel like this is probably mostly a discussion about it. We would come back with something,
An actual resolution?
an actual resolution or something. Yeah.
Sure.
So at the top, you see, I thought it was necessary that we distinguish between a FOIA policy for the city and the FOIA procedure. Looking at some of the city websites, I see that they put their policy pretty prominently on their website so that everyone understands they're committed to following the law, and I think that would be something we should do too. A policy is a statement of how the town of Holiday Island will implement practices compliant with Arkansas's Freedom of Information Act. Along with the policy, most cities have a request form. Even HICID has a request form people can fill out. And it's a form that's filled out by someone wanting to access copies of the town's documents, reports, or meeting recordings. And then a FOIA procedure is actually the description of the steps in processing a FOIA request, including the responsibilities of those involved in the process. So, prerequisites are, and this is something I think we as the town council need to discuss. Several people that I've talked to about the IT setup have recommended that as a city, and in fact this comes out of the municipal league too, they recommend that we scan all the municipal documents so that we could keep the hard copy too, but if you scan it, if that hard copy gets lost, damaged, whatever, you've still got a record that's readable and understandable. So that's a best practice, apparently.
Well, aren't all our documents digital?
Well, forms that people fill out are not digital.
Okay, so scan the
Receipts that you get in the mail are not
okay. All right.
electronic. So there are some. We would hope that the most of them, things that are signed, don't get, usually are in hard copy until they get scanned. So that's what I'm talking about. So that's a best practice that the Municipal League recommends, the IT in a Box people recommend. Most anyone you talk to recommends it nowadays. And then you can back those up in cloud storage and retrieve them whenever you need to. And then we need an electronic filing system, which is naming conventions for documents and folders. And so it's organized in a fashion that you can retrieve things and know how to retrieve things. So that's another thing we would have to set up, especially if we scan everything. It's so much easier usually and quicker to find something if it's been scanned, if it's organized correctly in a electronic filing system. The implementation of backup recovery system for all electronic documents and files, that would be very important to this whole process. Also, the implementation of cybersecurity systems and practices on the local and remote hardware used to store and connect with the storage devices containing the town's electronic documents. You have to make sure they're protected, can't get hacked, can't get accessed from the outside. Creating a form for FOIA requests, I think that's important for two reasons. So that we have a record of requests that we can maintain, and also it helps us assure that we're responding in a timely manner, because you kind of timestamp them in and timestamp them out. And I mean, maybe that's overkill. It's a best practice that's recommended by the Coalition for Freedom of Information Act or something. But,
well, it also eliminates opportunity for miscommunication on what was actually requested.
yes, yes. And someone saying, well, you didn't get that to me in a timely fashion. You've got a record of when it came in, how it was handled, stuff like that. I would think we should enable the electronic form via the website, and we'll have a paper form available in the office that can be filled out, which would be scanned, of course. But we need to also, there are some things that we can charge for and some we can't. We can charge for the paper it's printed on and the printer costs. And there are some instances, and Lynn, you've researched the Freedom of Information Act a lot more than I have. I think there are special circumstances under which you can charge for personnel time.
Yeah, if the project is determined it's going to take a significant amount of effort, that you may have to hire someone to do it, those costs can be accumulated or estimated, and then presented to the requester. Are you willing to pay that amount?
Mm-hmm.
And you move from there.
Okay. So that's part of the process too. So we'd need to determine a cost per hard copy based upon our printer costs for the printer we get and the paper costs. But I think we can come up with a number that we could use. Some cities just say it's 50 cents a copy. Some say 25 cents a copy, you know. They use different numbers on they have those on their websites. Set up multiple methods for making documents available to people. We can post various documents, videos, and recordings of general interest to the public on our website. Or provide links to the cloud server through the website, which right now is a Google Drive. We can post the videos and recordings to YouTube, which I have started doing, and provide links on the website to those, or if someone comes in, you can provide them the links or tell them how to find them. Actually, people can just go out and search YouTube. We can FOIA requests would be filled by also copying the requested documents to a user's. They bring in their own thumb drive, CD, or DVD. I think Wes's desktop will have a DVD, CD, DVD player, as well as, USB ports for thumb drives. And or we can loan out a town-owned thumb drive to someone who doesn't have one but is able to use a thumb drive. Or they can request a hard copy. But I think our preference is to try to get them to accept a document in some electronic form. And if that document is already on the website, all we have to do is direct them to the website.
So have we made for certain that that's an appropriate response for a request? Tell the requester, go get it from this link.
Yeah, I mean, if they can tell us why they can't,
okay.
we will. I think we should seek to find a way to give it to them.
Okay.
Whatever means they have. I mean, some people may not have any computers at home. Some may not have an internet access, and I think we have to, whatever makes them happy. Since we have multiple ways, I think we should strive to make the requester happy.
Okay, thank you.
I would caution against loaning out thumb drives.
I don't think you want to do that.
No.
Well, they're not that expensive, and actually what some of the cities do is, if you don't return it, you don't get your next request until you pay for it.
The only thing is they could invite it.
That would be a concern I have.
If we deal with thumb drives that come from outside our facility, we need to have a separate device to make certain that thumb drive is safe and clean. And the only way to do that is to have an independent PC sitting here, and you plug it in, and you format that hard drive, that thumb drive, and that wipes off everything that's on it, and it creates it in a mode so it can be written to. So you have to have a procedure for handling foreign thumb drives.
Having a library on a thumb drive and laying it out.
No, it's not wise.
Yeah, I haven't purchased a thumb drive lately. They seem to last forever. But if they're very, very inexpensive, it would seem like the thing to do would be for the city to buy, 100 of them and
How about if they want it on a thumb drive, we charge them for
that's what I was going to say. We'd
$5 or whatever they cost us.
We provide them with a thumb drive with the records on it,
At cost.
at cost.
Yeah, I think that's a fair plan.
Because I agree, swapping thumb drives back and forth is
yeah, it
pretty
does sound
risky.
good. It does sound good.
Does the law say we have to provide it in any form that they want?
It says you have to make it available. There is some language in the FOIA about that.
I mean, if they take something on a thumb drive, 99.9 are going to have email where you can email them a document.
Well, we could do that.
To take it to the extreme, we could buy,
But
stack
email,
of 200
the only reason
CDs.
the only reason you're using thumb drives right now is because the size limitations of email. A normal just, 1 or 2 documents is not a big deal. But if it's a huge document or a huge video or something like that, it's going to be oversized for email.
I don't think that the law would be that restrictive on anything that's agreeable between the person that's asking and the person that and us. Even to one option is to let them sit down by the computer here and review all the documents here. If they don't actually need to take them with them, they could review them here. So.
That poses some problems too. If they take the documents with them and we don't notice it, and finding a spot for them, I guess we could send them over here, but there's no room in the.
Well, one thing is that we're not going to have people here full time. We're not going to have somebody that can stand over their shoulder to make sure they don't stick one in a briefcase. I think, and I was 47 years in the newspaper business on the other side of trying to obtain information like this, and newspapers in 4 states, and municipalities and state government, federal government, none of them have ever been all in you can't request, in my experience, any way you want it. You want the information, we can give it to you by a digital copy, we can print you out a hard copy, but, I don't know. I just think we need to look at the law and see, we want to be accessible, there's no doubt about that, but I don't know if as a part-time office of some of the things are going to be kind of impossible to do in a timely manner.
Well, we're going to have to find a way to do it in a timely manner because there's a 3-day limit.
No, I understand that. I mean, yeah.
So if Wes has to come over here or someone has to come over and access Wes's computer to get something, it's going to have to be done.
Some comments that I had. One, from what I've seen and what I figured we'd need to do is, first of all, with the original documents, that those need to be in hard copy filed in books, official books, and those would never be given out or anything. They cannot leave the office. Then you have an extra copy in a file that if you need to make a photocopy, you can pull it out of that file and make a photocopy. Or I would see you probably would also want digital copies on a computer that it could be printed out from that too. Then another question, when you say the 3 days, kind of alludes to what Jerry said too. Are we talking about calendar days, business days?
Business days is in the law.
Okay. Because my concern is if I have to do it, I may not be here within 3 days.
Yeah. And we're going to have to figure out also
There's going to have to be a backup.
how to back up Wes some way or another if he leaves town or whatever. So.
This is just a preliminary
Discussion.
right, and eventually we'll have to come up with a ordinance or a resolution, actually, so that, okay.
Right.
So all we're trying to do is just start a discussion on it, right? Okay.
So, the procedure steps that I came up with, noting that there's a 3-day time limit on fulfilling the request. Any town official, including the recorder, may accept the request. The recorder obtains any requests arriving in town email or submitted through the website. The official who receives the request will mark it with the date time received. The 3-day time limit clock starts ticking. Then the town official provides the request or a copy of the original request to the recorder. The recorder locates the requested document or determines the feasibility of providing a report if it exists in the accounting system. If requested document involves email records or archived documents in the cloud or off-site storage, the recorder will engage the help of the email provider or off-site storage manager. If any delays in meeting the 3-day time period are anticipated or encountered, the recorder will inform the requester of the issues involved. The recorder contacts the requester once all documents are available to ask by what method the requester would like to receive the documents and advises the requester where to find the requested documents if they have been made available to the public on the website already. Then the recorder provides the documents to the requester in the method requested. And I didn't put here, but they should, we probably need a timestamp on the request form that stamps it done, you know, timed out.
Your report is left to
So any questions about that or any discussion on that part? It sounds like all the work falls on the recorder, unfortunately, Wes, but we have no office help.
No.
okay, so what, you need to study this, study the FOI, and
I guess that's up to the mayor. Do you want to go through this? You know, want to look at the form that I created? We could start using that immediately. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see there's a box for our use, and that's where we put the date received, the time received, and who it was received by. And then the requester fills out their name, email, telephone number, and the way they'd like to receive the whatever it is they're requesting, whether it's paper copies, a CD, the town loaner thumb drive, which I guess we're going to cross that one out, or their own thumb drive or their own DVD. I might just combine the CD, DVD in one thing because it's virtually the same. And then they put in a description of the specific records or information. If they don't know exactly what records are available, they just ask for particular information sought in enough detail that the town can respond. And we ask them to be as specific as their knowledge of the available records will allow. The more specific they are, the better likely we are to come up with the right records. Yes, Ken?
There's nothing in here about email.
Well, a record would be an email. It could be an email record, yes.
I don't see it as a method of receiving. It's a copy.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying over there. That's a good point. Email. I'll add it. Yeah.
And maybe add a block, so just, what is the link? The available links. They would check mark, I want to know what link to go to. That's how they want to know how to get the information.
Oh, okay.
We're not going to give them access.
But wouldn't that be?
I mean, like, it's on our website, it's on the documents folder page in the such and such a folder, and we supply its,
okay. Okay, a website link.
Something like that, yes.
The way they got it. I
right.
Get it. Okay, I'll add that. Okay. So, any other comment on those two sections?
Are we going to cross off loaner thumb drive now, or are we going to investigate that further?
I have it crossed off. It sounds like it's
Thank
pretty
you.
much dead. I think HICID does that some now, don't they? Or have they quit doing that?
I do not know of any kind of thumb drive. I don't think we're going to thumb drive there.
Okay.
And we would not want to use their thumb drive.
I don't want to. I don't recommend it.
Well, yeah.
Unless we have a procedure for formatting.
There again, I think that thumb drive might infect your machine. Possibly could.
That's why I say it has to be a separate PC that's just totally isolated from everything. Its only purpose is to clean thumb drives.
This certainly sounds like the safer method of just providing our own out of a box.
If we have to provide them at all. Yeah.
Well, I think in some cases we're going to want to suggest providing it on a thumb drive because it's going to be the easiest for us.
The last audio file from the last meeting only took 5 minutes to write to a thumb drive. That size file, in my experience, to a CD would probably take a half an hour to write it to a CD.
And one of the things I ran into this past week was that if we put something on Google that exceeds like 128 megabytes or something like that, it's too big for Google to scan for viruses. And so it sits out there, and when someone wants to go retrieve it, it gives you this big warning message. This document cannot be scanned for viruses. Download at your own risk.
Okay.
And I mean, that's a real deterrent to people.
Sure.
I mean, that's, you don't want to download that file when you see that message.
Right.
And so, in those cases, we need another method of getting a file to them if we can't. And it's too big to email. It's too big to put on Google. But your thumb drive is about the only way you're going to get it to them.
A workaround to that problem is I could limit my recording that I'm taking to 1 hour, stop it, and start a new recording. And so we'd have segment 1, segment 2, segment 3 that would post and be able to download it. That'd be a workaround.
Yeah, what I found is on videos and recordings, we can post those on YouTube for free, any size.
Okay.
And I actually created the Town of Holiday Island channel in YouTube, and I've posted the last 2 Zoom videos. This last one was too big for anybody to access. And I put it on YouTube, and it plays beautifully. No warning, no virus warning. And it's out there for the public, and you can just go to YouTube and, search for it too. So
Okay.
you don't have to have a link or anything. But you can give a person a link to it also. So,
Okay.
Then YouTube can be a YouTube stalker.
and videos and recordings probably are going to be our biggest files when you
Yes,
think about
digitally,
it.
yes.
So that's my current best option for videos and recordings. Okay. The next paragraph on this form I got from a best practice form out there that the Coalition for Freedom of Information sort of suggested. I didn't use exactly the same language, but it says, many public records are readily available on the Town of Holiday Island website and do not require a FOIA request. These are identified in the Town of Holiday Island FOIA policy. That we'll put that in our policy. As a requester, I have read the Holiday Island FOIA policy and fee agreement, which will have that, and agree to pay any fees for searching or copying those records I have requested, as allowed by law and stated in the fee agreement. If the cost exceeds whatever amount they want to put in, please inform me as soon as the cost is known. So this is sort of a disclaimer to the requester saying, beware, read our fee policy and fee agreement, and by signing this document and requesting these documents, you understand that fee agreement, and that we will tell you if the cost exceeds some amount that you want to put on this form. But they will have to pay whatever cost it is.
I would recommend moving that paragraph to right under the title at the very top.
Okay. Okay. And then the next paragraph is basically for news media people. This was also suggested. Please identify yourself as a member of the news media if applicable, and if you wish to claim a fee exemption, please indicate below and identify the issue to which your request is related for your news gathering purposes. Your signature below will confirm disclosure of these records is in the public interest and will contribute significantly to the public's understanding of the issue, and will confirm that your use of the records is not being used for any commercial purpose. And there's a spot to identify the news media organization and the issue. And then you sign, there's a spot for signature and the requested, or the date they requested it, the date they filled out the form, in other words.
Question?
Yes.
I've seen that phrase for used for any commercial purposes in several places. What if the request for information is commercial?
They don't get it.
Okay. It has to be a non-commercial. Okay, so if I'm a resident of Holiday Island and I have a business, whatever it is, and I need a mailing list, so I can't come to you and ask for whatever record that might give me that information because I want to use it for my business.
Well,
is that true?
Unfortunately, this is only in the news media paragraph. It's not in the other part of it. The document I copied that out of, it seemed to be in the news media paragraph, and I'm not sure why.
Okay. Well, I'm asking for whatever record that they could generate whatever list from.
It's also against the law for someone to request something related to bids if they have an interest in bidding.
I understand that. Okay, just a question because I've seen it and I thought, well, what if it is a commercial request?
Yeah.
Well, on a bid, wouldn't it, it wouldn't prohibit them from, if we, talk and agree to, some, bid specs, that they would be able to request that.
Oh, yeah,
wouldn't
they get
Okay.
that.
I mean, okay,
They get that.
because that would be for commercial.
But there was some language in the FOIA Act about it was illegal for someone who might have an interest in bidding from obtaining some information. I'm not sure what that said exactly right now, but
Can I make one suggestion about the very top requester's name? Can you put please print in?
please print.
Because if we have two unrecognizable signatures, one at the top and one at the bottom, we wouldn't have any idea
Good
who's
point.
making out the request.
Good point. Yeah, I'll look some more about that commercial purpose and see if that maybe could go in the other kind of disclaimer paragraph. I should look into that.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? Very well thought out, very well put together. We could conceivably have a resolution by next month's meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I did have in my studies looking for this a reference to a statute 14-2-201, and the title is Public Records Generally, Subchapter 2, Reproduction of Records, and the subtitle then is Authority and Requirements. And it talks about the head of the county or municipal department may cause any or all records kept to be electronically imaged or processed. And then it says, at the time of reproduction, the agency head shall attach his or her certificate to the record certifying that it is an original record, and the certificate shall be reproduced with the original. It suggests that maybe we should put a mark on the original like our county clerk does when they get a document that says this is the original. So when it's scanned, it has a copy of that to certify that it is a scan of an original copy. So do we need a stamp for our recorder to use for his legal
I
documents?
think, yes, we do. There are a lot of things I've seen that we need to have a stamp.
Okay.
And the clerk, one clerk also suggested.
Okay.
I guess I haven't totally digested what that paragraph actually means. We're not talking about date stamping or somehow stamping every document that somebody might FOIA.
No, it's documents that we store electronically that we have to reproduce.
Okay.
So it'd be everything that we have to reproduce for FOIA requirement. It has to be marked
Right.
that
Every
it's an original.
resolution, every ordinance,
Our minutes even, I
minutes,
suppose.
anything, yeah.
Our official documents have to be marked with a mark, a certificate it says. And I think because the clerk puts a stamp on it like that, it just says Connie Doss, County Clerk, Carroll County, Eastern District. They also have a date and time. That may not be necessary, but at least it identifies her, and that's her official stamp.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get a
lot of things, I think, like even the minutes, I'm supposed to have a seal. To apply the seal in minutes and documents. I wonder if that would be.
I'm sure that would be our certificate to mark it as the original.
Yeah, you can get those, order a seal that has the adjustable, dates. Just, the little dial to change the date. And they're not that expensive. So,
Okay. Any other discussion on this topic? If not, we'll try to get it on the actual resolution on the agenda for the next meeting. All right, moving on to find the agenda. Moving on to discussion on using Facebook and social media. Lynn, I think this was something that you requested to put on the agenda.
I did. When we were working on the incorporation effort, we had a Facebook page that was entitled City of Holiday Island 2020. And I know that we would like to communicate with our community and tell them what's going on. And I know that on that site there are over 200 users that have marked it as a like. And there are several others that have marked it as follow. And the most recent publication we put out was an announcement of a workshop meeting, and it appeared on over 500 pages of users that had seen our notice. It records when people see it. So I think it's a valuable tool for us. A lot of communities have their own Facebook pages. When you look at websites, they have a link at the bottom that takes you to them. So I'm in favor of promoting that, but there are a lot of responsibilities if we do that as a city. And the responsibilities are on how we manage that information. Primarily, that if anyone posts anything on a city page, we can't remove it unless it violates a policy that we've established. And the policy is pretty clear in the law and the guidance from the Municipal League about what things should be prohibited from our Facebook page if we use that. There's also a recommendation by the Municipal League and other authorities that we have a social media policy for municipal officials, because we have a job to do here representing the city when we meet, but we also are still by name officials of the city when we're not in this meeting. So our postings that we make on social media could impact the city negatively. And the most recent publication of January 14 in the Gazette, there's a police department problem because a policeman posted something on a web page, and this is after the city received complaints from the public according to the department news release. They also made comments that the timing and the wording within the posting leave room for interpretation that is both troubling and harmful. The department does not have a policy concerning social media, but does have one governing conduct and behavior. The piece that we approved about our conduct and our behavior didn't say anything about social media. So it's something we have to consider, something we should be talking about, and in the meantime be very cautious about what we put on social media.
Can we just put a social media page to where we post, just informational things, not allow any comments?
I've been told that feature, you can set Facebook up to do that, and I haven't been successful in limiting comments. So if I'm told that it can be done, it must be capable. I just haven't figured out how to do that. If we go that route, if we continue, or if we modify the Facebook page that we have.
Well, I use HiSid as an example. I look at it every week to see what the country club is going to have for a menu. Not once have I ever commented. And, Lawrence can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that I've seen any comments on any of their posts.
They have a Facebook page? No, you're looking at their website, I believe.
No, they've got a website. I mean, a Facebook page.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, if we had a Facebook page that did not allow any comments and only our postings, then we would be able to avoid the issues of unfavorable comments that we would consider removing and going through that whole process.
I mean, I would think it would be valuable just as an informational tool.
I agree. The documents that I was studying talks about whatever you create a page or a social media page, you have to have a system of backing it up because it becomes a public record because we posted it. So that's another issue that I have yet to investigate of how to do that. The downside is that Facebook is a operating system that we don't necessarily have total control of. They can delete records and do whatever they want because it's their page. It's their system. So that's why the need for being able to back up and document what we put on it. So it has its caveats, but I think it has more advantages than disadvantages.
I know this morning I was looking on the web for Berryville, and one of the things there said, do you want to go to our web page, to our Facebook? So I think it's common for cities to have a Facebook. Now, I know, but the idea that becomes a FOI document or a permanent document, that don't sound right.
I don't know that it would necessarily have to be FOIA because Facebook is out there for anybody to view anytime.
We have to back it up and have a gratuity. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
I wouldn't go into it if we got to do that.
Yeah. I think we do need a social media policy, just because, it's the wild, wild west of communication, and I think we do need to have a policy of who's going to be allowed to post something official relative to the city on social media, what's going to be acceptable and what's not going to be acceptable, and things like that. I think we do need that policy.
I think we can control who posts. I think we cannot control who comments if it's open to commenting, but we can have a policy that states what's appropriate and what's not appropriate.
That's correct.
And, we're only talking about Facebook because that's the one that we're comfortable using. Twitter is far more popular in the rest of the world now, and based on our former president, the government said that the president's Twitter statements are official government statements. So,
well, and I just read something that, I don't know, there's something else that is the thing anymore. Not Facebook or even Twitter.
Parlor,
and
It got canceled.
Snapchat and
Instagram. Instagram. Yeah. I think all we need to do is Facebook if we do anything.
And I don't think we need to allow comments. If we keep it just, that is possible.
okay.
We may not know how to do it, but I think
Lynn's going to find out.
If we do it, I'll find out before we do it.
Yeah.
But just
why, if we've got these documents on our website, why do we need a Facebook for the same document?
It keeps people, and a lot of people use Facebook on a regular basis, and they can follow Facebook and get up-to-date information,
Yeah, there's a
announcements.
lot of things,
It's useful.
Yeah, using HISET as an example, I wish that Facebook were a more popular tool, because there are tons and tons and tons of good things going on in Holiday Island, that the water department's doing, the street department's doing, whoever. And, you can only cram so much into a Board of Commissioners meeting, and very few people pay any attention to the VOC meetings. If you had an effective Facebook page where you could post major accomplishments and, toot your horn a little bit about things that are going on, then maybe people wouldn't be so critical of our public officials.
It can almost be your everyday newsletter, What's the latest thing that's happened or you want to tell people about?
I'm just looking down the road that when we get into urban planning and zoning, some of the requirements about having public forums and keeping the public informed about what we're planning to do and what we'd like to do and inviting them, it's a tool to make that happen. That it's going to be very essential that we get everybody informed that we're going to have a meeting, we're going to have a forum, and we're going to talk about it.
If theoretically, if you had 80% of the registered voters in Holiday Island, or the property owners in Holiday Island, as followers of your Facebook page, that would constitute being the highest circulation publication in the area relative to FOIA announcements and stuff like that.
Certainly.
So I think it's worth doing, but I do think we need to have a policy that makes sure that it doesn't become the wild, wild west.
Now, the policy concerning what we post on it, or a policy about how we respond on our own private postings on whatever social media?
I think we need an all-encompassing social media policy.
Okay.
So I think it should cover both.
All right.
Because, I could post something on my personal website that could create great problems for the city, and so.
Well, I have a model policy from, I believe it came from Tulsa, that I thought was very good, and when I compared it to the things I was reading in Municipal League, they align very close. So I'll put that together and submit it for you to distribute.
Okay. All right.
So that I can be working on studying going forward. It sounds like Facebook is where we want to go. Maybe we can talk about what media should we use. Should we start from scratch, or do I look at taking the Facebook page we had before and take out things that really shouldn't be there for a city page?
Is it possible to change the name of
Yes, ma'am.
of an existing page?
Yes, I can.
Because that would save you trouble for saving stuff that we had before.
Right. But I can delete comments. I can delete content.
Yeah.
If I can clean up the old page if you want me to start with that. So we have, if nothing else, the history of where we came from and the promises that we made in our campaign, our plan documents, all those things that we put out there before.
I like it.
If that's the right place to start, we start fresh.
Well, I mean, if we change the name, it will be fresh. I mean,
No, you'll change the name without changing the content.
no, okay, but no, I think you need to do what you're talking about, delete
Okay.
some of the things.
Okay. Linda, may I lean on you for to bounce the ideas off for what we take off that
Sure.
page?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that appropriate? Can Linda and I work on cleaning up the old page and not violate open meetings laws?
Everything that's on that page now is not city related, right?
That's correct. We weren't the city.
Not going to come up for new business.
Right.
Yeah, we made one announcement about the city, and I haven't added anything to it since.
So, get it off now before we officially adopt it
Sure.
as the city Facebook page, because after that, then you can't anymore.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I just caught myself backing away from the mic and talking, so.
It's easy.
All right. Next on the list then is discussion of attorney request for quote. We're not going to actually discuss a resolution or present a resolution today. What we want to do today is give Ken the authority to send out the RFQs to a short list of prospective city attorneys.
Well, I drafted up the RFQ a month or two ago, and I sent it out for comments. The only comments I got back were a couple from Lynn, I incorporated one, or two of them, I tried to check me. And I read it today, and I see I made it, but I also tried to, I asked Lanny for some names of some prospects. I haven't got it, so I'm going to call him, but I called towns of I called Berryville, I called Huntsville, and Pea Ridge. I'm just checking it. But I don't think we want to get an attorney that's working with Eureka, being the proximity and
potential conflict of interest at some point.
Way too close for a potential conflict. Even anyway, I found out the name of the attorney that Berryville has, and he told me that he was elected, but he's also the attorney for Green Forest. And I put in a call to see if he would be interested. But I would like, to get this ready to send out sometime next week. And one of the things that, at the end of it, it asks, when they have to be back, and I would say the end of February. And then if we get the request, the comments back from the people, that would give us, a couple weeks to study them, review them, make a selection, and and I think what we want to look at is being able to have an attorney on board like 1st of April. I think that would be a good timeline. I think by that time we should have funds, and maybe I don't see it. I mean, we can shorten it if you all think we need to, but I think that's a good timeline.
Yeah, I think we need to have the attorney on board when we actually start passing ordinances, as opposed to resolutions.
Well, I mean, do you think
even to the extent that we may ask the attorney to draft some of the ordinances?
Is everybody comfortable with 1 April? Having
it's okay to me.
Mm-hmm. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And what? Well, I can ask you, Dan, on your phone number and your contacts.
You had your phone number, I think, and
no, I got this one's got the districts, because I thought we were going to use that process, but we're not. So I'll get that from you.
Change that email to my regular email address instead of that high city one.
I don't know. Did anybody have any problem with the RFQ? And I've got another document for we use to evaluate the replies when we get them back.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to be interviewing these firms or people at a town council meeting? How do we do the selection?
That's up to you. This to get responses, and then we would.
Yeah,
I know when we did the district one, and we brought them in for interview.
We can. I mean, certainly we would review whatever comes back as a response to the document. We would review in a public meeting, even if we have to call a special meeting to save time. And then
I don't know. I mean that's after that's after the fact. Do we? If you want to have interviews, then that could lengthen the selection process. So
I think we need to see what kind of response we get first. I'm not sure we're going to get that many responses. Tell you the truth.
Yeah, I mean, one way to do it would be for the mayor and Ken to screen the candidates, and if we were lucky enough to get 4 or 5 and narrow them down to 2 or something, and share the request with the.
I'm going to try and get, send it out to at least 3 or 4, and just see what we, again, when we were searching for an attorney for the incorporation, we didn't get a lot of people who wanted to jump in.
Yeah.
But I would like to, get it out next week.
Yeah, I agree.
And I have to get you to sign it and everything.
This is a request for qualifications as opposed to a request for quote.
Right.
Isn't it kind of important to know what, for services, for legal or engineering services, you do not ask for quotes. You ask for qualifications and then you negotiate the price. Okay.
I know, and even accountants and auditors, it's the same sort of thing. You're supposed to look at qualifications for doing the work, and they're normally, you also did submit your a quote, but that was only supposed to be 25% of the consideration.
Yeah. You do not ask for bids.
Okay.
I was going to ask now, I think the incorporation committee was real pleased with the firm from Springdale. Were you going to contact them?
Justin
in Springdale?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be on the list.
Yeah, Justin.
Okay, I think we can do this just by a vote of the council. All in favor of allowing Ken to send out these RFQs to a selected list of potentially qualified municipal attorneys? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So Ken, we'll
you sometime next week.
Okay. All right. I'll find my agenda again.
Not much.
Public comment.
That's it for new business. I'll open it up at this time for public comments, which would be coming through the computer. So I'm going to defer to the tech squad here to see if
I'll open my speaker if you want.
Is there anybody out there in TV land?
Tell them to raise their hand.
Yes, you can raise your hand, and then we'll unmute you. Anybody see any hands raised?
No, but we had an individual walk in a few minutes ago, and I don't know where he went.
That was Dale. I think he wanted to see Lawrence, not
okay.
not the town council.
Okay.
Still no.
Holly Westcott's asking. Hold on, we'll see if we can get your microphone lit here.
Jerry Pittman. Jerry Pittman. Uh-huh.
That was him who said that. When you were discussing FOIAs and it was his effort to make information fully accessible, I wanted to quote the correct person.
We think that was Jerry, yes.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay, any other public comments? Council member comments?
I had a comment.
Oh, Rebecca has her hand.
Go ahead, Beth.
Back to public comments.
Rebecca has her hand waved.
She doesn't have a microphone.
I have asked her to unmute.
Can you unmute it, Linda?
I can't seem to unmute it.
She doesn't have a microphone.
Oh, well. Is she putting anything on chat?
Nothing that I see.
Rebecca, do you, what did she say?
I have a little pop-up message from Rebecca that says, "Can you read?"
Okay, she did a post at 1:49 that says the Google Drive is not for the public.
There's no reason why it cannot be used for the public to access it. We make it available.
She made a comment, YouTube had a virus.
If you're just watching on YouTube, I don't think you could get it.
She had a comment for those of us that just want to hear the Zoom meeting. The process that HICID utilizes allows a viewer to enter into the Zoom archive and a piece of cake for review.
Yeah, I looked into the Zoom recording in the cloud for our meetings, and the space is limited, I think, to 1 gig, which that doesn't give us hardly any space at all to put a recording in or to save multiple recordings. I would rather record it to my PC, and we have a backup audio recording always, so I think that's enough we need. Unless the council wants to talk about it.
I'm getting some little pop-up chats here that I'm kind of thinking she's wanting to tell us that she logs into Zoom, not into YouTube, when she's viewing the HICID.
Well, I know she does, but I don't think we're going to do it that way. So.
Okay.
She may be referring to a YouTube live broadcast.
Well, yeah, I gave her a video recording by posting it on YouTube. And it's very easy for us to post on YouTube the recording and make it available to the world.
Okay.
But you can do a YouTube live stream.
You can, but I don't think we want to. Because they can't, so participants can't comment back to us if they're on YouTube Live. It's just a broadcast.
In her
So
last comment,
it doesn't solve our open meeting policy.
and her last comment is, well, you have many problems, including social media comments. Okay, we'll deal with the problems.
Okay, I don't know that there's much different we can do. Okay, and let's move on to council member comments.
The comment I had was, I was a member of the audience in the last HICID meeting, and there were several comments made between HICID folks and the Planning Commission folks that work for the developer. And some things that they said are things that not necessarily aligned with what I've been learning. And I think we need to move forward as best we can with our planning and zoning development and our project that we've started. So our incorporation efforts included mentions of planning and zoning and ordinances, and a tremendous amount of work has to take place before we can get to that point, so we need to get started. So sooner than later.
Yeah, I agree. I've been kind of dragging my feet on bringing that to the top of the priority list, but I agree it's something we need to get working on. And, you know, trying to figure out how to either transition the planning commission over to the city or setting up parallel cooperative departments. I don't know enough about their operation yet, and I need to, you and I need to spend probably some one-on-one time with Mickey and learn more about, how they're legally structured, what makes them, what their reporting responsibilities are, to the developer, how long do those developer, rights, continue and things like that. So, yes, I agree. We need to move forward with that. And it's, I was going to make a comment too. And this kind of ties in together. When we were, planning for incorporation, we said that planning and zoning was an important consideration, for the city to take over. When people think the planning commission, they generally think of a larger umbrella of code enforcement than just planning and zoning. They think of the planning commission as being responsible for making sure that people keep their yards maintained, don't pile trash up in their yard, don't have chickens in their backyard, maintain the speed limits and everything else. And if you look at how the municipal code is structured, a lot of those things have their own category outside of planning and zoning. Planning and zoning generally refers to, land use within the city, how your streets are going to be laid out and things like that, how your utilities are going to be laid out for future growth, and building codes and things like that. Other things that people are concerned with, as an example, this week Lawrence got a call from a lady that lives right up the hill back here with a complaint that there's a house in the neighborhood that's been piling junk up on the front porch for some time, and it's getting worse, and to the point where there's plastic and stuff also accumulating, and they wanted to know, what they should do about it. And they said, now that we're a city, can the city do something about it, or should the city do something about it? Lawrence responded that the city has no ordinances yet, so they can't get involved in enforcement. So the only thing you can do at this point is to fill out, get 3 property owners to sign the complaint form and turn it into the planning commission, and they will try to take action. And so, I thought, okay, if we did have an ordinance, where would that fit? Where would people piling trash up in their yard fit? And it doesn't fit under planning and zoning. It fits, if you look at other cities, it fits under Title 5, Health and Sanitation. So, when you look at this, how to set up the municipal code, we're going to have to do it in bites. And there's little bites and there's big bites. Planning and zoning is a big bite. It's a huge bite. But writing an ordinance, for maintaining, for somebody not being able to turn their property into an illegal dump would not require that big a bite. So, as soon as, I see this, I still don't want to start writing ordinances until we're a city, because I don't want to have to go back and redo all of the ordinances that were written for the town, because now we're a city. Now, maybe that doesn't have to be done. Maybe there's some way of writing one resolution that says that all ordinances that were written for the town now apply to the city, or something like that. But if there isn't, I don't want to have to pay to codify something twice, because we're our classification changed. If that's not an issue, then I think we could probably start working in the relatively near future on Title V of the municipal code, of what will eventually be our municipal code, and start writing ordinances for that kind of thing. Planning and zoning, we need to start now, but I could easily see that being a year-long project.
It will take a while.
Yeah, before we get everything figured out as to how to do this and how to do it right.
But we need to get started on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether, I think after you have a meeting with Nikki and you guys, and we need to schedule a work session to just come back and try to get an idea where we're going to try and go.
And we don't want to, the most unfortunate thing that we would end up doing would be to set up parallel, operations where we have the city planning and zoning, and then the developer still has the planning commission, and you end up, butting heads and stepping on each other's toes, and nobody knows who's actually running the show.
All the guys on the current planning commission have agreed, to migrate as far as everyone I've talked to.
Well,
so
Nikki didn't come across that positively in the last DLC meeting. I mean, he wasn't negative about it, but he did bring up the fact that they have this issue that they report to the developer, and as long as that relationship exists, then it's a problem that we have to figure out how to deal with.
Mr. Mayor, just a question or comment. Doesn't the Planning Commission basically, their mission is to enforce the covenants?
Right.
Make sure they're enforced somehow.
The HICID or the current one,
the
current version,
the
yes.
land covenants, the covenants that are with the land.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I think they can really do is give an exception, right?
They can grant exceptions.
They can grant exceptions. So, if the city passed an ordinance that was compliant with the covenants for all properties, that if they passed an exception, it might be illegal.
That's possible, depending on what they accept on.
And maybe the city could grant an exception.
I don't know that that's true because the covenants don't go away just because the city comes along. The covenants are agreements. Really, the covenants are agreements between the property owners.
Correct.
And that the court has determined has value.
Yeah, I don't think the city could do anything in conflict with the covenants. They could go further than the covenants, perhaps.
But the way they're set up, they don't deal with things like the scenario was mentioned of the guy piling up trash on his.
Well, I think there is something in the covenant.
Well, they don't enforce it.
No, they don't. You're right.
So, how would that be a conflict?
They have no enforcement authority.
That's right.
The only thing that they can do is issue letters, and there's something in the covenant that says that they can issue fines. However, that's been struck down.
That's been struck down.
So they can't issue fines. So all they can do is basically wag their finger at the person.
However, we could enforce an ordinance. We could have an ordinance that said the same thing as the covenant and be able to enforce it. And I think that's what we ought to do.
The two things that the Planning Commission would like the city to take over from them that I'm pretty confident in is issues like that where they have no code enforcement authority, no muscle to be able to force people to comply. The only way that people can be forced to comply is for property owners to sue each other.
Well,
The other is a building inspector. They have building codes. The planning commission has building codes and standards and everything else. They issue building permits, but they have no they have no building inspector. So,
Yeah, there's no reason for anyone to use a building inspector
right.
out here. I
And
shouldn't have
there's
said
no
that on the
reason
mic. But.
other than the fact that when you get your building permit, you're supposed to tell them who you're going to use for a contractor, and that's supposed to give the planning commission some reassurance that they're using licensed contractors that will do things correctly. But there's nothing that prevents somebody from saying, to the house builder, I'm going to do my own wiring, I'm going to do my own plumbing, and there's nothing that says that that's all being done to code. So they would Holiday Island needs, and they would like the city to provide the building inspector.
And that's getting more urgent every day.
It is.
Because there are houses going up every week now.
Right.
I think we need to have a meeting with you three guys and get an idea of where they want to go and see and then get this to where we can take, hopefully we'll have an attorney on board and we'll resolve because all we're doing is just, we're just speculating.
I would suggest we start with a plan of what ordinances are priority to get in place.
Mr. Mayor, would it benefit just to give the thumbnail of what we have to do to get to that point? To get to the point where we get to ordinances and zoning codes?
Okay.
First of all, we need to appoint or approve an ordinance to establish a planning commission. And then the mayor appoints commission memberships by an ordinance. The city planning commission meets and forms, and they do the things like naming their chair and vice chair and how they're going to meet, do the things that we did in our first meetings. Then they set goals and policies drafted in a policy document. And then they define the planning areas and boundaries, creating a planning area map that gets filed with the county recorder. And it designates long-range streets and community facilities and parks and land use intentions and suburban areas and improvements. Then there's a public forum held that shares those goals and policies and planning areas. The city council passes a resolution to adopt the goals. And then we have to collect data that meet those goals, and that includes about economic, social, political structure, and information about man-made and natural environment in a public forum. Then you prepare a land use plan that documents to achieve those goals. Then you adopt a resolution and file a land use plan with the county recorder. Then you draft all kinds of programs how to implement that plan, how they impact the community and the land, the construction programs, and private individuals as well as subdivisions, and identify and ascertain documents that have potential impacts. Then you review and adopt that plan in a public forum, notified before the programs are adopted officially by the city council. Then you draft the programs to implement the plans. That's when the ordinances, zoning codes, subdivision codes, building codes, and housing codes come in. And then the last thing is a board of zoning adjustment. So there's so much work that has to be done before we even get to ordinances, codes, and housing control.
I think we need to shortcut that process substantially.
These are documented in the statutes. It says this and after this and this and after this and this and after this. All these things are in the document.
Would HICID have had to do that when they formed the developer formed the planning commission?
I don't think so, but I didn't investigate that.
Actually, the planning commission is not part of HICID at all.
Well, I mean, I corrected myself and said with the developer.
I think we need to see what some of our sister cities have done. Every one of them has every one of them refers to as a planning commission, which encompasses the whole, the planning, zoning, and building codes.
But as Dan was saying earlier, we could take a stab at doing some health and safety ordinances without going through a whole planning commission.
Sure, absolutely.
And building codes might be part of safety.
Yeah, there's only there's only 3 sections of
I don't know.
the municipal code that would even involve that checklist that you just said.
But I would think you could have an ordinance about needing to have a building inspector inspect new property before they get a building permit, or have something like that
But
without going through a planning commission.
You have to have something to inspect too. If you don't have any building ordinances, then the building inspector isn't going to.
You mean
there's nothing to
an
enforce.
ordinance that establishes the code by which you're following, right? Is that what you're saying?
If I'm the building inspector and I'm going to go out and inspect some job site, I need to have a building code that says that, this ordinance, based on this ordinance,
Yes,
this house is supposed to be built according to these standards.
right.
That's what I would expect to. So it doesn't pay to have a building inspector until you have
No, I
the
agree with
ordinances.
you. That's why I say we
Mr.
some
Mayor,
ordinances we
I'd like to comment, for one thing, when we built our house, there was a building inspector, and we were glad there was, because we weren't living here, and we would come like once every 2 months to see what was going on. We'd get reports from the contractor, but at least we knew then that there was a building inspector watching the construction to make sure that it was all legal. And I think at that time maybe we had to have an occupancy permit before we could move in. I can't say, and that was probably not legal, but we were happy that it happened. And I had communicated to Dan, I had read that the clerks and recorders are to submit periodic reports to the county assessor of the permits that are issued. I assume so that the assessor knows that he needs to go out and assess the property. And we're also, I think, submit an annual report of new housing permits to the Bureau of Census. I don't know, I'm not aware if the district or the planning commission does anything like that now. I guess my thought is that in order to issue those reports, we might possibly have to be the ones issuing the permits so that we would know.
We should be, but
also,
what they're doing up there now is just make believe.
Well, step one, I still think there's 2 different buckets here. There's all the things that we can do now that doesn't involve the current planning commission, and then there's planning and zoning, which very much involves them, because there's no way that we can move forward without considering their stake in all of that. So we do need to meet with Nikki and just get a clear understanding of how we should move forward and what the hurdles are going to be. In the meantime, long before we get that all resolved, we can start writing ordinances on things like health and sanitation.
and Mr. Mayor, I think you talked to David Orr this past week, and I talked to him too. He was telling me that, they had to come out here and provide their building inspector to inspect a house that was being built because they needed a F something, one of those loans, federal loans.
It was
HUD loan.
And they needed an occupancy permit in order to get their loan.
And they said that David Orr told me that Green Forest had the only state certified building inspector in Carroll County, and that evidently Green Forest might be willing to loan him to us to do inspections. So that's a thought.
Mm-hmm.
And he would he would bill us and we would collect from the people, I assume.
Just, for discussion here again, I think in Holiday Island here, I think we would end up with a code enforcement officer as opposed to a building inspector. That building inspecting would be part of the code enforcement officer.
Apparently, the Green Forest building inspector was the only one that could do an acceptable inspection for that particular situation. That was what I was led to believe by David.
Could be. I don't know.
Dan,
You got to find out.
Mr. Mayor, one thing we could do, and again, I'm based on my past experience, is that we had a community development department that encompassed zoning and planning, code enforcement, a couple other things. We could do something like that and do it in pieces. I mean, the code enforcement would be something we could, draft pretty quickly, I would think, and start that. Because if you remember back during the summer when we were doing all our forums, that was a pretty big issue on, misuse of.
Most of the property owners out here don't really care if that new house being built on the corner is being wired by a licensed electrician, but they do care if the guy that lives across the street from them has got 3 cars up on blocks and the last refrigerator they bought.
Yeah, and a storage building in the front yard, which there's several like that. So I mean, that's one way to proceed, because it will take a time on the planning and zoning and working out that relationship, but there's no reason we couldn't start on the code enforcement. Dogs, animal control was under that department too, community development.
It would be, Linda made a suggestion about a priority list. It certainly wouldn't be a bad idea for everybody to kind of, jot down what they think the priorities should be as far as attacking ordinances, and we'll use that as guidance. Okay, any other comments?
Just one real quickly. Did anybody make any calls to the municipal league on their fees and things of that nature?
Yes, I did. That's what, they're going to be sending us something.
Okay.
They said it might take a few days. So I should have that for the next meeting.
Okay.
I mean, just based on this meeting alone, I think the importance of having their support and moving quickly on an attorney is something that we really need to do, because, we're, none of us are attorneys and hadn't played one on TV, and, we're trying to read statutes and.
Actually, I have played one on TV.
Okay.
not very well.
Thank you, Tom Selleck. But anyway, just for what it's worth, we talked about chipping in for a sound system or a Zoom system or whatever. Maybe we ought to chip in and at least get a attorney on a per, just a per hour or whatever as we're trying to form these, as we try to move forward. It might pay off in the long run. So that's one man's opinion.
I'm still confident that Wes is going to get us some money here pretty soon.
That's going to help a whole lot of things, right?
I have received nothing since Tuesday from down there, and I've been wanting to kind of lay low and not bug him for a little bit. But if I haven't heard in maybe by Monday, I may send an email. And what I was thinking about doing is sending the email back to my contact person at the treasurer's office and copying in probably that Jennifer Wheeler at GIS and point out Jennifer already, commented about what the code said. But, from the provision of the code, to me that may be a saying that they ought to be giving us our turn back funds, because it says it's supposed to be distributed to the municipalities within 10 days after the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can they use this excuse, well, we don't have it from the Census Bureau?
Yeah.
And we've been a municipality since December.
December the 3rd.
And,
We've been a municipality since December.
right.
So we are owed a January payment in my mind.
Do we know if that even though they're not making a distribution yet, have they carved out the Holiday Island part of the sales tax that's been going?
I doubt it because I questioned that a week or 10 days ago, and would we get back payments once I get the census information? And her response was no. Well,
Do they have an
I'm
appeal
thinking
process?
Maybe another reason why maybe we need an attorney.
Municipal league.
We don't get some kind of a favorable response by early next week, we need to bring in some outside help.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we have to have Justin step in for us or something like that.
Ballinger, Arlen Grove, Governor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other comments? Motion to adjourn?
So we're going to plan a meeting, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm not done with the agenda yet.
Yeah.
Scheduling. I lost my agenda.
Regular meeting.
We're past that point, but you were out.
Yeah, we did have some public comments and we took care of that. Okay. Yeah, the regular meeting is, there's no conflict with our regularly scheduled meeting next month, right? It's not a holiday or anything.
Should we go ahead and schedule a workshop for earlier in the month?
Topic?
You could do a workshop on ordinances needed immediately if you want.
Are we prepared to do that?
Well,
We got one.
we have 15 days to do it.
I mean, if we do it as a special meeting, we can put things on there up to 2 hours before the meeting.
All right. You want to do a workshop? Tuesdays works for everybody, right? Unless it's warm and sunny. The past.
Until April 1st.
We did it at 9 o'clock in the morning the last time, right?
9 or 10,
Or
I
10.
can't remember.
10, I think. We did it at 10 o'clock.
10.
So you want to do it like on February 2nd?
It's Groundhog Day.
Go outside and see if you see a shadow.
Well, that means we'll have to do it on the 2nd, the 3rd, 4th.
I want your ticket back there.
Yeah.
You got.
Yeah, by the end of the movie, we'll be really good at this. All right, so we'll schedule a workshop, a topic to be determined on February 2nd at 10 o'clock. And then our regular meeting will be on the 16th. Now, any announcements? Are we ready to adjourn now?
One announcement.
Yes.
I was asked by the county clerk yesterday that if anybody hasn't filed their financial disclosure forms, they're due by February 1st.
I forgot about that. You mean the one we did when we got elected in December doesn't count?
2020.
You have to file a final report.
Okay.
If you didn't mark the one that you turned in as your final report.
I did a final one, yeah. So I don't have to do one? It's okay?
I think so.
I just did one final one.
Oh, no, the final one was for the campaign finance.
Right.
Campaign. This would be your financial disclosure. That's a different form.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
right.
yeah,
Yes.
I think we all have to do that, unfortunately.
Financial disclosure?
Everybody has to turn in a financial disclosure form, yes. I was thinking the campaign financing.
Even if there's no change, and
I think we all had to do it before
I mean,
we got
that's where we
put on the ballot.
We had to print out all the crap, all
Yeah.
your holdings and everything. So
But-
we got to do a final one too.
But I think that one was for 2019.
I don't know.
So if you have to do it for 2020.
Mr. Blood, it was due what date?
February 1st. And to be safe, it may be before February 1st. But it's actually January 31st. Okay.
Yeah, January 31st.
Okay.
If you didn't have any changes to your financial situation from when you ran,
And I'm still
just
retired.
run a copy of what you
Pretty
turned in
copy
the
and
last
paste,
time,
yeah.
update the date on it.
My investments have gone up. I hope yours have.
They have, but I printed out 36 pages, and the lady said, I don't need those. So I just kind of laundry list.
You're giving them way too much information.
Yeah, I heard she
Well,
ripped all mine off too, so.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to redo the form I got, so I'll take it over there.
I wish they would give us proper instructions on filling that out.
When I took my the end of the campaign report there back in December, I mean, they didn't even look at it. She just stamped it. And,
Well, I'm sure that's something they have to do.
Yeah.
They want to do. Make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We adjourn.